You're watching Football Daily, and these are the 10 weirdest laws in football history. 10. The Backpass. If you think time wasting is bad now, imagine football before 1992. In those days, there was no backpass rule, so players could simply knock the ball back to the keeper when under pressure, and he would pick it up. Backpasses have to be played with the foot, so heading it to the keeper is fine, as is a pass using the chest, knee, or even the shin for those of us with bad technique. Patrick Van Straten. But players are still prohibited from juggling the ball up with their feet then heading it back. Presumably, this is seen as being too much of a dick, and the culprit is supposed to receive an automatic yellow card. This law saw some confusion in a 2012 League 1 match between Rennes and Ajaccio. Ajaccio defender Majani flicked the ball up in the air and nodded it into the arms of keeper Guillermo Ochoa. The ref actually let play continue for a few seconds before an assistant gave him a heads up, and Rennes scored from the resulting free kick in a 4-2 win. 9. Unsportsmanlike Conduct. Possibly one of the vaguest reasons for a ref to give a yellow or a red card, you often see the occasional unsportsmanlike conduct pop up on the Sky Sports News ticker in the 3 PM matches. And that's mainly because anything to do with enjoying the game is now considered to be unsporting by the referees. Score a last minute goal and run into the crowd? Unsporting. Take your shirt off after scoring a screamer? Unsporting. Defend yourself from a streaker who's trying to punch you? Unsporting. In fact, that's exactly what happened to Esteban Alvarado of AZ Alkmaar after some twatty Ajax fan ran onto the pitch and attacked him. Thankfully, that decision was eventually reversed and his team walked out in protest, despite the referee saying you should have just walked away. Diving or simulation is also classified as unsportsmanlike conduct, so it's pretty much a blanket term at this stage. 8. No substitutes. Everybody has looked at a picture of football from the 1950s and laughed at how unfit they look. Yes, they might not have had the sculpted physique of Cristiano Ronaldo, but starting a game in those days meant seeing it out, as teams were not allowed substitutes. If you got injured during a match, that meant your side went down to 10 men. And although subs were allowed in the World Cup qualifiers in 1934, they were eventually banned from the tournament. They were banned from the finals itself until 1970. Up until 1967, in fact, English football only permitted changes if there was an injury, before the law eventually changed to allow tactical subs as well. With that in mind, the achievements of Francisco Gento became even more remarkable. The Real Madrid legend played all 90 minutes of 8 European Cup finals, winning 6, a record unmatched even by Paolo Maldini, who was subbed off with 7 minutes left in the 1994 final. 7. Gold and silver goals. A relatively modern experiment, the golden goal rule was introduced in 1993, and it was so bad that it got removed 9 years later in 2002. The ruling meant that if a game in a tournament went to extra time, it was essentially next goal wins, and the most notable incidents were in Euro 96 and Euro 2000. At Euro 96, the Czech Republic faced Germany in the final, with Berger and Bierhoff causing the game to go to extra time. Just 5 minutes after the game kicked off again though, Bierhoff got his second and won Germany the competition. Euro 2000 was an even more dramatic affair after Wiltord scored a 93rd minute equaliser against Italy before Trezeguet clinched the cup in the 103rd minute. Despite everyone despising the golden goal rule, the masterminds at FIFA came up with another brilliant addition: the silver goal. This rule meant if you scored in the first half of extra time without reply, you ran out victors after just 15 minutes. All of this was eventually abolished after Greece shithoused their way to the Euro 2004 final by scoring a silver goal on the 105th minute, once again against the Czechs. 6. Protecting the keeper. Punting the ball out of the keeper's hands is a Sunday League favourite, and it was actually legal in pro football until 1997. If a keeper only had one glove on the ball or was simply not paying attention, wily forwards could nip in and steal possession. But thanks to a host of nasty injuries, the lawmakers decided that keepers needed more protection and prohibited outfield players from attempting to nick the ball off them. Thierry Henry was one of the early victims of the law, having a goal disallowed against Blackburn after he stripped Brad Friedel of possession whilst the keeper was attempting a clearance. And let's not forget, blocking the keeper off at a corner is also against the rules, making the position clearly the most privileged on the field. 5. The NASL penalty shootout. Every neutral loves a penalty shootout. It's possibly the most unfair way to decide a game, but it's always funny when someone like Simone Zaza eventually steps up, walking like a pigeon before sending the ball into orbit. But there was an even more hilarious version developed by the Americans, the 35-yard shootout. First used in the North American Soccer League and then the early days of the MLS, players started on a designated line and were given 5 seconds to get their shot away one-on-one against the goalkeeper. Officials defended the penalty revamp, claiming it took more skill to slot it away as they were able to deceive the keeper, but in reality, it was a total shambles. It was supposed to replicate the NHL's format, and sadly the spectacle finally ended in 2000 after the MLS officials decided that the ridiculousness had gone on for too long. Look, Americans get a lot of stick when it comes to football, but it would be hilarious to see Giorgio Chiellini try and take it past Manuel Neuer in a Champions League final shootout. 4. Free kick own goal. This one is a rule which is still in use today, but you almost certainly didn't know about it. The laws of the game state you cannot score an own goal from a throw-in, a free kick, a goal kick, or a corner kick. So if you get a free kick and pelt it back to your keeper, only to see it fizz past him and into the net, your side have not actually conceded. Instead, a corner kick is awarded to your opponent. The reasoning behind that is that the ball has crossed the goal line. The free kick and throw-in rule is so unknown that in a Premier League game in 2002, Aston Villa conceded a goal when a defender aimed a throw-in at Finnish keeper Peter Enkelman, only to see it bobble over his foot and into the net, although there is still some controversy as to whether he touched it. Birmingham fans ran onto the pitch to taunt the keeper, and no one argued the point to the ref, who eventually awarded the goal. Birmingham won 3-0, but Enkelman had the last laugh, with one fan going to prison for giving him the wanker sign. 3. Drop ball. The drop ball is often used when the referee has no idea what the just happened and tries to get away with being absolutely useless. Nowadays it's usually resolved by the teams, who sportingly boot the ball back to whoever had possession, but occasionally it is contested by two aggressive players fighting for the ball. Dirty bastards like Scott Brown, Joey Barton and Roy Keane loved the drop ball, but there is actually no regulation as to how many players can compete for it. This means that if the players really wanted to, 5 players from both sides could battle it out for the ball at the same time. A battle royale would likely ensue and the chaos would be a joy for everyone in the stadium. Unfortunately, it hasn't happened yet, but if there are any footballers out there willing to go all out for a drop ball, please hit us up. 2. The foreign object. Whenever something like a flare, or in Figo's case a pig's head, is lobbed onto the pitch, the referee stops the game, clears the debris and play resumes. But in special circumstances, there are objects on the pitch which the ref and assistants don't see and can cause game-changing problems. The rules state that if the referee doesn't see the object after it has intervened with play, they cannot reverse any event. Possibly the most famous example of this was when Sunderland played Liverpool at the Stadium of Light, where Darren Bent was assisted by a beach ball. As the football bobbled across the box towards the English striker, Bent hit it and it looked as if it was going to be a comfortable save for Pepe Reina. Unfortunately for the Spanish stopper, a Liverpool fan had chucked a branded beach ball onto the pitch, and the football deflected off of it and past Reina. The Spaniard looked baffled, as did most of the stadium, and the game finished 1-0. 1. 2 points for a win. Up until 1981 in England, a win in the league got you just 2 points, leading teams to play in a more defensive style to get an easier 1 point for a draw. The man who led the charge for the 3-point win was the late great Jimmy Hill, who also helped pioneer the likes of the electronic scoreboard and lifting the maximum player wage in the beautiful game. It stopped teams agreeing to draw games near the end of the match, as the 3 points were far more valuable. And remarkably, the 3-point rule didn't get introduced in every football league globally until 1995. This led to such champions as AC Milan, who won Serie A in 93-94 with 50 points, whilst the gap between relegated Piacenza and the 6th placed UEFA Cup qualified Napoli was a mere 6 points. Milan that season scored just 36 goals. The next season, after 3 points were introduced, they scored 53. A world of difference. So there we have it, but what do you guys at home think? Let us know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, why don't you click here for loads more great content and down there to subscribe. And as always guys, we'll catch you later.